Most people think that great wine is found, discovered in the soil, passed down through generations. In Bordeaux, that idea runs so deep, it's almost a law. But when you walk into this place, something feels different. This doesn't look like a winery that inherited anything. It looks like a winery that decided to build something new. Lalande-de-Pomerol sits on the northern edge of Bordeaux's most sought-after appellation, a French word for a delimited wine region with its own rules, its own identity, its own reputation. To the south, Pomerol, home to Petrus, a wine that commands thousands per bottle. Pomerol is a name so powerful, its reputation alone doesn't need a classification to be recognized. Lalande shares the same clay and gravel geology, the same Merlot-dominant soul, the same ancient terroir logic, but not the name. And in wine, the name is everything. This is a region that lives in the shoulder of its famous neighbor, not because the wines are lesser, but because the story hasn't been told loudly enough. Fleur de Bouard chose to plant its flag here, knowing the odds, knowing the noise. But then it did something unexpected. When you walk into most of Bordeaux wineries, you will find that the vats are standing on the ground. Enormous tanks planted firmly on the cellar floor. Heavy, immovable, part of the building's logic. At Fleur de Bouard, they are in the air. Suspended above the floor, the vats hang in a room that feels less like a cellar and more like something designed by an engineer with a specific obsession. That obsession is gravity. When the vats are elevated, wine flows downward naturally through every stage of the process. No pumps, no mechanical pressure, no unnecessary intervention is needed. What looks like an architectural statement is actually a winemaking decision, one driven by a single-minded pursuit of precision. And that precision exists for a reason. But before that reason reveals itself, the winery has one more surprise. Deep in the barrel room, where the wine is sleeping, slowly finding itself, the lights go out. The room becomes something else entirely. An immersive light show moves across the barrels. Sound, color, rhythm. A story told without words. It feels almost transgressive. Wine aging is supposed to be silent, patient, invisible. So why is this winery turning its cellar into a theater? Because Fleur de Bouard understands something many traditional estates are only beginning to accept. The wine itself is no longer enough. Not because the wine is lacking, but because the world is distracted. To earn a place in someone's memory, not just their glass, you have to make them feel something first. The light show is not a decoration. It is hospitality reimagined as an experience. It's a signal of what comes next. You sit down at a blending table, and 3 bottles are placed in front of you. Same region, same vintage, same cellar. 3 completely different wines. First, Merlot. It is round, almost generous. It meets you immediately. The second, Cabernet Franc. It's edgier, structured. It asks something of you. The third, Cabernet Sauvignon, is quieter, more reserved. It thinks about the future. None of them alone is the finished wine. This is the thing Bordeaux figured out centuries ago and never let go of. The greatest wines here aren't built from a single grape. They're built from many parts. Each grape variety contributing something that the others can't. The winemaker's job, every single vintage, is to find the proportions that make that balance land perfectly. Too much of one voice, and the whole thing flops. At Fleur de Bouard, they don't just make that decision. They let you try to make it yourself. With glasses in front of you, 3 wines already separated, pipette, small measure vessels. No instructions to tell you what the right answer should be. You start to mix. The first attempt, Merlot, soft, but shapeless. Then you add Cabernet Franc. The structure appears, but now it's sharp. A touch of Cabernet Sauvignon, and something shifts. The wine balances. And in that moment, that small, quiet moment at the table, in a suspended vat room, in a young winery in Lalande-de-Pomerol, you understand something that no wine book can fully teach. You are not calculating the correct answer. You're listening to the wines, to your palate, to something instinctive and stubborn and alive. And what you're doing right now is exactly what the winemaker does every single year. Except their decision goes into the bottles, and theirs has to be right. So let's get back to that idea from the very beginning. Great wine is found, inherited, passed down. Maybe. But what we've seen here tells a different story. A winery that suspended its vats in the air, not because tradition demanded it, but because physics made it better. A winery that turned its barrel room into an experience, not to impress you, but to connect with you. A winery that put the most important decision in the winemaking directly into your hands, so you could feel, just for one moment, what it actually takes. This isn't a winery waiting to be discovered. It's a winery that went out and built something worth finding. This episode was filmed during a project with my client Andre Vides, a wine tour agency based in Bordeaux. Tell us in comments which other wineries you would like us to visit, and subscribe to the channel because it helps us make new episodes. Want to see a winery that's history started before France even existed? You might like this video. Thank you for watching, and we can't wait to see you next time.